Hey, Wembong World Entertainment, and this is the full spoiler review for Predator Badlands. So if you haven't seen it, you don't want to know anything, you can go and check out the non-spoiler review that's up. Otherwise, stick around because this is full spoilers where we're really breaking down what I feel the massive issues are with this movie. And as I said in the non-spoiler, for me personally, I think the only good thing in this movie was the music, because everything else absolutely sucks. So what is the first issue? Well, obviously number one is Deck's look. They've tried to make him too human because they want him to over emote. And that is a massive issue when we're talking about a predator. Like, he constantly looks like he's in fear. The other issue then with him is he has no growth. You're going to hear people talking about how this predator grows throughout the movie. The character, he matures, he does this to come back to his father to do this. And it's like, no, he doesn't. He absolutely doesn't. He goes to this planet for one reason. Well, he chooses the planet. This is a thing. We may as well dive in. The very opening of the movie, you've seen it in the trailers, is on Yautja Prime. He goes into a cave and his brother is in there, who's cloaked. And the first thing he says, which by the way, it's all in subtitles, is, "I sense you, brother." It's like, oh my god, they're Jedis now. And they literally are, because their swords are practically lightsabers now. They even make a little crackly noise with that red laser on the end of it, which also I have issues with. It's like, why do all their weapons all of a sudden have like red laser beams on them? Like, all of them. He's got a little disc throwy thing that's like a double-sided blade that comes out of his wrist blade that glows red. The bow and arrow that he has is all red electric stuff. The sword is red energy on it. It's like, you realize they're stealth hunters. Why is everything lit up? But he's going there and he's fighting his brother, and the brother's saying like, oh, you're weak and blah 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 and all this, and do you yield? And he's like, no, and he goes, good, and all this stuff. What he's fighting for is to be accepted as Yautja, which is weird because that's the alien species. And we'll get to the whole thing of where this comes into being like weird. But he's also fighting to achieve his cloak. So apparently the new lore is that you're not just armed up with everything. You have to earn this stuff by going hunting, apparently. So the brother is setting him up to go, like he tells him, you have to choose your prey. So the first image is coming up and it looks like it's human, you're not sure. And then the next one goes and it's that thing, the Kalesk or Kalisk, whatever the hell it's called. And then it skips to the next one. He goes, oh, wait a minute, go back. He's like, what's that thing? When they were fighting before this happens, by the way, the fight is very hard to see. It gets very CGI, but they purposely make it really dark. In fact, you can't. This will be one of those movies where a lot of the action that takes place is in the dark. That if you're watching it on TV during the day, you are not going to see half of the action scenes. It does that real dark thing. But the brother, whose name is Kwai, I think, if I remember correctly, he's like saying to Deck, you know, oh, father disapproves you and blah, 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 and father's the most fiercest of our clan and all this kind of crap. To then immediately, when he's getting Deck to choose where he wants to go, and Deck's like, oh, hunt that thing. He's like, what is it? The brother says, that's the thing that cannot be killed, blah, blah, blah. Even father fears it. So it's like you've just built the father up to be this ultimate badass, and you instantly whipped it around to say, but he's scared shitless of this thing. By the way, wait till we get to the whole thing with the big monster thingy, the Kalesk or Kalisk, whatever. It's one of them too. But he's setting up the ship to take his brother Deck to that planet. So it's not like he's planning to go there anyway. And then the father shows up and he's like, hey, why is he still alive? Now, this is funny because the brother knows, and this is another issue, the brother knows that he's been sent there to kill Deck by the father. The father wants him dead because he's a runt. He brings weakness to the clan, and the weakness must be cold, as they say. Why doesn't the brother hide Deck? Like, once they see the father coming, why isn't he hiding him and tell him, oh, by the way, Dad sent me here to kill you, so hide and I'll tell him I did it. No. Instead, he lets Deck walk out there, and Deck's like, Father, I greet you with honor, and he cuts his hand to greet him with honor. And then the dad's like, why is he still alive? And he's like, he deserves a chance. He goes, you're just as weak as he is, like, weaknesses and crap and blah 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 must be cold. And you can see the entire clip actually online. They released that clip. The brother looks like he's gonna kill Deck, and he doesn't. He hits the thing that the dad throws down that captures Deck. It's not like a net, but it's like these electric wires that hold him down. And then he fights the father. He has Deck on the ship, locked into the ship. The brother gets killed. He gets beheaded by the dad, and the ship takes off and immediately crashes. Now this is hilarious. The ship flies off and Deck goes flying because it's like, okay, I guess there's no gravity. Nothing else on the ship gets displaced. So Deck goes onto the board the ship from the very back of the ship, and yet wakes up on the bridge. It's like, how did you get there? Because we can see there's no clear straight path from the back of the ship to the front of the ship, and yet Deck wakes up at the front of the ship as it's crashing. And he ejects on that bike thing. We've seen this clip of him coming down, crashing through the trees and stuff. He doesn't know where his ship is. The ship crashes. We don't even see where the ship crashes. He doesn't know where that ship is. So he immediately starts fighting the trees. We've seen this clip. The weird long tentacle things that are attacking him. Which is hilarious because the trees, like all the trees, seem to be these things. Except when the script decides, well, we can't have it reach him up there. He climbs a rock face, and all of a sudden, the trees that have been wrapping around other trees going for like miles almost, all of a sudden you can't reach him, and he's right there on the edge of the tree line. It's like, why can't you reach him now? Why can't these trees at the very front not just reach up and grab? Either way. And then he walks out, he finds straight into the field with those bursty things. Actually, he walks down, he's sitting at a river, and he finds this bug thing. So he's attending a wound that he got fighting his brother. And he sees this little bug thing, and he picks it up, and it starts growing. The bug has a defense mechanism. Its defense mechanism to stop itself being killed by a predator, and I don't mean like a Yautja predator, I just mean like a predator on the planet, is to kill itself. Because that's what it does. It blows up. It's like a mini grenade. It's like, that's retarded. The thing defends itself by killing itself? What's the point? But then he walks out into the field where the things are that explode, the little spikes, and that's when he meets Faya. And we get all of that crap, and he somewhat releases her. He starts getting paralyzed. One of the things, again, you see it in the trailers and stuff, sticks into his neck. He's getting paralyzed. That's what it does. The big dragon flying thing throws rocks down and it explodes. It paralyzes its prey and then eats it alive. So she's tied up in the tree. How exactly she's tied up in a tree, we do not know, and we are never told. How exactly she's there, and why she's there, and how she's tied in a tree. It's never explained, but don't worry about it. He throws up as he's kind of getting more and more paralyzed. He throws up the knife to her, because she's like, hey, you could use me, and like I could help. And he's like, Yautja hunt alone, and all this crap. But he throws the thing up, she frees herself, and again, we saw this in like the first official full trailer. The thing's coming down, it's about to get him, and she jumps out of nowhere and kills it. Then they have a conversation, and she convinces, she manipulates Deck into bringing her. Now, she's using him. She says to him, like, oh, you can use me like a tool. And he's like, oh, you're a tool. Yeah, sure, I'll bring you. And she's literally using him to get back to her sister, Tessa, and her legs, which we find out later. So he eventually, like, he's literally carrying her around until he gets some like vines and makes like a backpack to carry her around a bit easier. And then he's like, I need to eat. So he goes hunting for that bison stuff, and he's about to run out into the razor grass, And she's about to say, like, I wouldn't do that because that's... And he's like, shut up. And he cuts his hand on it and she goes... And then he kind of is like, well, what are you going to say? And she goes, yeah, it's razor grass. It'll cut you to shit, like. And she keeps going, we can go the long way around. And she keeps doing this type of stuff. And his response is constantly this, you give up too easy. So he goes running through the trees. We see that in the trailer. That's all they're doing is they're hunting this big elephant looking thing. And the way she manipulated him, by the way, was to say she's seen the Kalesk, and she knows where its den is. So they're going through. All of a sudden, they meet the little monkey thing. The little, what's going to be called the Grogu of the movie. This little cutesy thing. That's the elephant thing starts going after. And he eventually kills that. Like, he's going to kill that little thing to eat that because he can't get the other yolk. The bison, as they keep calling it. And then it's coming running, and again, we've seen this in the trailer. You've seen the entire movie in the trailer. He lets go of that yoke and throws the sword. Now, this is also one of these retarded moments, because the sword is only half the size of this creature, the bison yoke. The thing is huge, and yet somehow that sword manages to cut the thing completely in half. It's like, how did that happen when it would only literally cut like a bit of it, because it's not long enough to have cut the entire thing, but it managed to do it. And he's thinking it's great victory. He's holding up. By the way, all the blood and stuff, for all the violence people say, oh, it's brutal and stuff, it isn't. It absolutely isn't. It's about as violent and brutal as you get in the Monsterverse with the Kong and Godzilla movies. It's that type of violence, you know. It's, oh, look at all the weird goo that's different colours that it just kind of splashes here and there every now and again. That's the level of violence. It's not brutal at all. So when you're hearing people say it's brutal, it's just not red blood, that's bullshit. By the way, I should say, and I can't remember whether I said it in the non-spoiler, Dan Trachtenberg came out and said this movie has the greatest spinal rip of any Predator movie in the franchise. That's bullshit, because there is no spinal rip in this movie. So whether he was talking about something else, I don't know, but he couldn't have been talking about this one, because it does not happen at all. So yeah, no great big spinal rip or anything like that. So yeah, I really don't know what he was talking about with that. But after they save that little monkey thing, it starts following them and comes with them, and Faya names it. She calls it Bud. They did the alien Earth thing again of all of a sudden this creature is a girl, because she goes, oh, she's trying to accept you as one of her family. Now this is the funny thing, the thing spits on deck. They're there trying to eat. It spits on him after he gives it food. He doesn't want to at first. He goes to give Faya food, and she's like, oh, no thanks. And she goes, I think our little friend here wouldn't mind something. He gives it to him, or her, as it said, and it spits on him. And he's like looking, he's a bit raged, and then Faya goes, oh, it's accepting you as one of their own, and it's, you know, claiming you, and you're part of its family now, and all this crap. Here's the issue at that moment. When we first meet this little monkey thing, the first thing Faya says when she sees it is, oh, what are you? I've never seen one of you before. It's like, so you've never seen one of these things before. You have no idea what it is, but you know that, number one, it's a girl later on, and number two, that it's accepting Deck as one of its own by spitting on him. How did she know that? She couldn't have possibly known that. But they wake up the next day, and Deck is like, well, I should say Deck wakes up. That thing's asleep. Obviously, Faya doesn't sleep. And he's like, okay, sun's rising, time to go. And she's like, hey, what about Bud? And Deck is pretty much like, yeah, you out to hunt alone. And she's like, but you're not alone. I'm with you. I'm helping you. He's like, you're a tool. You know, that thing, no. So he leaves it. And Faya's not happy and starts sulking about this. So they're down at a river. He finds a big toot and he's like, the Kalesk thing hunts here, doesn't it? And she refuses to speak to him. He's like, you're not much of a useful tool if you don't speak. And she gives him lip about the whole, oh, you know, you left little Bud back there and stuff. Don't worry, Bud comes back. Then we finally get to the den. Now, the den is the scene that, again, is in the trailers and all that stuff, of the Weyland-Yutani trucks and stuff all turned over. This is where we find out that Faye has been using Deck all along to get back to Tessa. By the way, we've met Tessa at this stage. She is getting repaired. She is the one that's getting repaired and all ripped up and stuff with the gammy eye. And this is where we find out that the synthetics are also on this planet for Weyland-Yutani to capture the Kalesk. In fact, that's their mission. So you see the mother saying, like, specimen not captured, blah, blah, blah. And then it says, unidentified species has arrived. I'm pretty sure it said species. Could say life form. Either way, it says unidentified. But then it keeps referring later to a Yautja has showed up. And it's like, yeah, how did you know it's a Yautja if you didn't know what life form it was? You just detected something new arrived on the planet. She instantly finds the ship, the crash ship. Now, remember what I said at the start. When the ship launched off Yautja Prime, Deck was at the back of the ship and got fired for some reason, because he should go the opposite way, but he got fired all the way up into the cockpit, which makes no sense because even the layout of the ship, that's not possible. Nothing else in the ship moved at all because everything is fine. Everything is still on the walls. The skulls are all still on the walls. His weapons are all still on the walls. Tessa goes there and finds his shoulder cannon. I shouldn't even say his shoulder cannon because all this shit on this ship is his brother's. So she finds that and takes that. When we get to the den, Deck goes to, like, they find Tessa's or Thea's legs. And she's like, there I am. So he's helping her get put back together. He's making jokes like, oh, it'll be easier to walk. And she's like, it soon will be. And he's like, no, easier for me to walk because he's been carrying her. This is after the scene where the little Bud thing spits on him, where he made a joke about her legs again. You know, yeah, Predator's making jokes. But she betrayed him and lets it know that I pretty much betrayed you to get back to me sister and continue her. She's like, yeah, you should leave because I've actually contacted Tessa and they're on their way. We're actually here to capture this thing as well. But he's like, they'll have to go through me. Sure enough, I was right what I said with the trailer. He sets off the explosion to attract the Kalesk. The Kalesk, the big baddie. The big unkillable monster that hundreds of Yautjas have tried to kill and have all failed and died to this thing. I can't remember whether that line is actually in the movie. It's in the trailer where she says, many of your kind have hunted this thing and have all failed. I can't remember whether she actually says that in the line. There's a lot of dialogue that is in the trailer, but it's in different places from where they have it looking like it is in the trailer. But that thing comes running up. It's defeated twice, incredibly easily, because Tessa finds on his ship not just the shoulder cannon, but grenades. But not just any ordinary grenades. No. They freeze you. That's what they are. They're freezy grenades. So he fights this thing. You find out this thing is unkillable in the sense that it's pretty much the T-1000. You cut the tail off. You see that in the trailer? It regrows the tail. He cuts its head off. It just reattaches and goes again. That's how it's unstoppable. Then it steps on him, which we see in the trailer, but it stops to kill him and sniffs him. Immediately it clicks, especially when you see its face up close. You go, oh my Christ, it's one of them little monkey things. And sure enough, that's what it is. The monkey's its daughter. It's a mother. Wouldn't you know it, Disney made it a mother. Only trying to protect its young. Right as it stops attacking Deck, what happens? It gets frozen, but so does Deck after Tessa throws the bomb. They capture it, bring it back. It gets ridiculous. So they capture Deck as well. Tessa is talking to Deck about, like, what's it like being one of you? Oh, blah, blah, blah. You're not one of the proper ones. You're this and that. Reactivates Tessa, who, by the way, still doesn't have her legs. Right? She was about to get them put on. Deck got thrown through the wall and smashed into her legs and took it off. Her legs are now walking around, so he's following them. But they're in the ship, and the conversation is bullshit, and he finds out, like, he's like, you betrayed me, you're a tool, blah, blah, blah. I trusted you. She's trying to get back on his good side. She's trying to convince Tessa to let him go, that he's useless, let's just take the weapons and leave. And of course, all shit happens. She releases him. Not Tessa, Faya. Now this is where it gets great. Remember, we didn't even see where the ship came down. He has no idea where that ship came down, because he ejected from the thing. Faya opens the door and quickly tells him, quick, jump. So he jumps out of the transport that they're in and goes rolling down a hill and then falls off a waterfall. The next thing we know, he's walking into the ship and picking up all the armor and stuff. It's like, hold up, how the fuck did you find the ship? The ship was nowhere to be seen. You have no idea where it went. How did you just walk across the ship? So he finds it. He finds Bud again. Bud finds him when he goes back to the den place, and he sets out Faya's legs so he could follow it back to where she is. How he knows it'll work and how they can walk and how it'll go to her, don't know. Don't ask questions. But he does. And then he comes out and he sees Bud, and Bud is standing in the footprint of the Kalesk, and that's when he realizes you're its child. Now this thing, oh yeah, I forgot to say actually, while they're around the campfire, when they're eating, it starts mimicking everything he's doing. So if he sits a particular way, he looks over and it's sitting that way. If he puts his hand against his chin, it puts its hands again. If he roars, it roars. So to try and get it to kind of, I've one-upped you, he pulls out his sword and starts inspecting it, because that thing doesn't have a sword. He turns around and it's holding a stick with a little fire on top of it. It's burning at the top, and it's like, yay! And you're like, oh my god, no, stop. Gets worse with that type of shit. Forgot about that. So to go and infiltrate Weyland-Yutani's base, what he does is he goes to the ship, he gets the grenades. Or does he get the grenades? I think he got the... No, he doesn't get a grenade. He got nothing actually out of the ship. He gets the Kalesk tooth that he still had. He makes that his new gauntlet blades. He did have gauntlet blades at the beginning of the movie. When you see in the trailers and stuff, when his brother's fighting the father, he kind of sticks it through the what's like a force field. It's actually the door kind of thing. They break off, so he doesn't have the gauntlet. So he makes the tooth the gauntlet. He wraps himself in something. I'm not even sure what it is. He all of a sudden has a shitty mask on. It's like, what is this he's wearing? We do find out. He gets his own shoulder cannon. He goes. Now, there was a scene where him with Faya are running through this gorge, and all these little arrow things are firing at them, and she goes, puts out her hand, she's this weird goo in it, and she throws it, and all these eel things run after the goo, and she goes, sometimes it's better to have honey to attract the flies or something than... And he makes a comment about, I don't want flies. He goes and offers some of this shit to one of these eel things. The eels apparently spit acid. The eel becomes his shoulder cannon. I'm not joking. It wraps half around his upper chest and then over his shoulder and sits there and spits at will at synthetics. Yeah. That's a fucking thing they did. Not just that, it makes a hero save, because he kills all the synths. He's killing them. Bud is killing them. Faya's legs are killing them. Her legs. There's a scene where she's in a box, right? One of the synthetic guards is staring. You see her legs walking like behind a pillar. He turns around, walks over, and it comes dropping down onto his shoulder. It's like, wait a minute, where did the legs go and how did they get up there and that quickly? Like, they're just a pair of legs. By the way, it should also be known that Tessa and Faya, we are told that they are programmed to be stronger, smarter, faster, and better than the male synthetic. So, girl power, yay. But then her upper half starts killing synthetic. So it's like, what is going on? She eventually does fix her legs. They're trying to transport the Kalesk thing off the planet. So Obviously, they caused a distraction. That doesn't happen. Faye dresses up as Tessa and goes on board to try and free the Kaylesk thing. And she's there and she's trying to get her eye to scan the thing to unlock it. It won't work. And one of the male synths, who by the way are all the same guy, come around and he goes, "What are you doing?" It's like, "What are you doing here? I ordered you all to go and kill the Yautja." And he's like, "No, you ordered me to get the ship ready to leave in 20 minutes. She goes, "Exactly, so what are you doing here?" And he lifts his gun up and he goes, "What are we going to do about the creature?" And she's like, "What?" And she turns around. Now she's in the disguise, remember that. And she told Bud, "You have to stay here because, you know, you'll be kind of noticed." She turns around and there's Bud walking up behind her in a rain jacket as well. And because they look at Bud turns around to see if there's something behind her. It's like, oh my God, what is happening? And Faye tries to come up with something and smashes his head. Tessa is in the power suit, the gigantic power suit. She's fighting Deck in that power suit. She goes to shoot him with his brother's shoulder cannon, which she can operate somehow. The eel thing that's his shoulder cannon makes the hero save. Jumps off of him and into the path of this. Doesn't evaporate or anything, it just seems to like electrocute it but kill it, which bums him out. But he jumps up, starts fighting her. She's able to activate glass. There's a glass window that can come down over the driver and compartment of this thing. And this is when she asks the question. You see in clips and trailers where she asks him, what's it like to be the hunted instead of the hunter? She doesn't say that when he's on that table. She says that when she's in the power order to him. And he responds by saying, "I don't know, you tell me," and jumps off because the Kaylesk is out. And they have a big fight and it goes all over the place, and she tries to freeze it and it only freezes the arm and off the power loader and it gets broken off and it eats her, it swallows her. And then they do the thing of, oh look, it's now friends with Deck because, oh look, its baby is with her. So the baby, the monkey looking thing, and it do the head bump, you know, the thing Disney does now where they touch foreheads. Then Deck comes up and he gets to do it with it. And then it instantly starts freezing because Faye, or Tessa, is still alive with one of the freezy grenades in its stomach. It freezes and explodes and apparently is dead. Now, I'll come back to that, but she's there, she's fucked up. She says to Taya, "Oh, you betrayed your own sister." All this crap. Deck apparently, like, I can't exactly remember what he does to her. He shoots her or something, I can't quite remember. And she's on her knees and she's seemingly dead, and he's with Tessa, and Bud rips its head out and goes, "Yay!" holding up the skull like it's a trophy. That, if that's meant to be the spinal rip, the greatest, it's like, that's ridiculous. That was like dumb as shit. You did it for a joke. Then he goes, and she goes, "Now you're a Yautja of your clan." And he still says, "No, not yet." The end of the movie is they go back to the planet. He fights the father. For some reason he is able to kill the father. Tells the father, because the father says to him, "Hey, maybe I killed the wrong son. Maybe you are the strongest. Welcome back to the clan." He's like, "No, I've got my own clan now." And he has Faye. And Bud, who in the matter of like an hour or something has grown exponentially. Like, it was this little monkey thing, and all of a sudden it's half the size of one of them bleeding bison yolks. It's like, how did that happen? But he fights the father, he kills the father. By the way, the father, he has a beard. Yeah, a Yautja has a beard, like a little goatee. It's like, I start noticing it poking through the end of, the end of his mask. I was like, has this thing got a fucking beard? And sure enough, when Deck takes the mask off, he's got a beard. This is the thing. By the way, he kills the father, takes the cloak, and then all the other predators start coming. You think the movie's over there because the screen goes black and stuff, but it doesn't. It comes back, and all the other predators in the hut are part of that clan or his guards or something. You see all their swords lighting up like they're fucking Siths. You just see all the red lights popping up. But then a ship shows up, and Faye goes, "Is this a friend of yours?" And the movie ends, I shit you not, with that going, "No, it's worse. It's my mother." And then the screen goes black and titles roll. As I said before, no mid-credit scenes, no post-credit scenes. So they're setting up a sequel and that the big bad is his mother. So Tessa and Faya are the only two female synths which are stronger, better, faster, and more knowledgeable than the male synths because they've been programmed that way. The Kalesk thing is a mother, the child is a daughter, and the biggest threat coming for Deck now is his mother. Fucking wrap your head around it, Disney. Here's my issues with all these things though. Number one, they keep fighting with the cloak on. The father fought with his cloak on. Deck's brother fought with his cloak on. Why the fuck can't the Yautjas see each other with the cloak on? Because I'm pretty sure they are able to see. It's only every other species who can't see through the cloak. But the Yautja should be able to see through the... Can't. For some reason, can't. The Kalesk, it's dead. They killed it. Did they? Because we clearly see that they defrost from that. If the thing can regenerate and come back together, that would mean that when it defrosts, it's going to fucking T-1000 itself and just come back together. So that thing clearly isn't dead and shouldn't be. But it's in 2 scenes in the entire movie and it's beaten easily in both of those scenes by Tessa. So the Predator himself, Deck, does not actually win his hunt. He comes back with the skull of Tessa, the robotic skull, and throws it in front of his father and goes, "That's my trophy." It's like, you didn't even kill her. He didn't kill the Kalesk thing. Tessa did. He didn't kill Tessa. Fucking Bud did. It's like, oh, so you literally did nothing. The only person you killed in this movie was your father, and that should never have made sense because he couldn't even beat his brother. His brother couldn't beat his father. How does all of a sudden he beat the brother? Because Deck couldn't even beat anything on the planet without the help of either Bud or Tessa or Thea. So it's so stupid. So that's the type of issues you have with this movie. The humor is stupid, does not work. The Predator trying to tell jokes. But then there's so many elements like the brother saying father's the greatest fighter, fears nothing, to then tell you he fears the Kalesk, that the Kalesk is unbeatable, it can't be killed. It's stopped twice in the movie. Deck doesn't get any of those main kills. It's like, what the hell is happening? So that's the spoiler review. I really can't remember anything else. There's probably a few things I'm forgetting that are just as stupid, but yeah, the movie is absolute garbage. And anyone that's coming out saying like it's the best Predator since the first, you fucking must have been dropped on your head. And I don't know how people could watch the original Predator, even Predator 2, and think this thing is good. That makes no sense to me. But again, if you've seen it yourself, let us know what you think of it. But I think it's garbage, my opinion. If you enjoyed it, all the power to you. At least you got enjoyment out of it. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Hit the hype button. Cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.